In this video, I've got 93 Y2K vintage shoes to be able to show you so that you know what to look for when it comes to the different brands and styles that are selling right now for big money. If you're new here, then welcome to the channel. My name is Lee Meyer. I'm a stay-at-home mom of four, and I've made well over $100,000 flipping used clothes and other items on sites like eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. I'm on a mission to help at least 1,000 resellers be able to hit that $100,000 mark out for themselves. To help you out, I've got a load of free goodies for you. You'll find them down here in the description below this video. This includes things like my best brands list, the list of 150 brands that has led me to that $100,000 mark and beyond. You'll also find a link to sign up for my free $100,000 reseller challenge. In the free challenge, I show you exactly how to reach $100,000 for yourself this year. It's not about hustling harder. It's not about putting in more time. I actually show you how to get there in very part-time hours. In that free challenge, you're also going to discover the very best things to be selling right now in today's market. All right, so let's go ahead and dive on into today's topic, and that is Y2K vintage shoes. Now, this was really exciting for me to put together because some of these are selling for shocking amounts. In this video, I'm going to stay away from the more luxury items, and we're going to focus on brands that are a little bit more accessible. Some of them are even lower end brands that are selling for a lot of money just because of the style, and I'm going to show you exactly what to look for. All right, this first item that I've got for you is a pair of shoes from the brand Mud. And this is a really big brand when it comes to Y2K brands just in general. You can make out a little bit on here where it says Mud there on the tag. Unfortunately, there's not a better picture of the brand label with this one, but that sold for $121. And that's what I would call a mall brand. Now, this is a pair of Doc Martens. You're going to see several of these that we're going to be talking about in this video. There's the marking there on the bottom. This is actually a very unique pair. So oftentimes you'll see a cutout on sandals like these that maybe have a flower. This one happens to have a large heart surrounded by small hearts. And that pair, because of the uniqueness of it, the rarity of it, that one sold for $300. This is from a brand that is called Lower East Side. So you do have to turn your head a little bit sideways to be able to make that out. But this is a brand that was sold at the shoe store Payless Shoe Source. This is a pair of chunky black boots. And because of the style with this one, this sold for over $100. $106. These probably sold for like $20 in the store, maybe on a sale for maybe, even less than that, $10 or $15. This is a pair of boots from the brand Steve Madden, and you can see the patchwork on these boots. Not a great brand tag with this one. I'll show you here in a second. But this one sold for $365. Now, inside of my big money brands, I do give all of the tag photos. So I'm going to just go ahead and show you the Steve Madden tag. Here's the mainstream tag, and then they do have another line that is called Steven. So again, that's inside of all of my big money brands. I give you all of those tag photos so that you have them in front of you. You know what to look for when you're outsourcing. And that shoe guide does come with over 120 brands. I'm going to link to that over here. This is a pair of boots from another what I would call mall brand, and it's called Delia's, or some people say it Delia's. I'm not really sure. I bought things from this catalog, but again, it was back in the day before the internet, social media. We were looking at a catalog trying to figure out how to say it. I say it Delia's. I know other people say that different, but you can see that big platform heel. It's kind of a wedge. That one sold for $95. Again, it's what I would consider a mall brand. This is a brand that's called London Underground. So you can make out the marking here. There's an L and then there's a U. And here's what these look like. These are a pair of sandals, and those sold for $235. Now, London Underground, that is a Y2K era brand, really popular late 90s, early 2000s. And I did go ahead ahead and pull up other sold items from this brand for you because there's a lot of them that are selling for over $200, over $100. I'm scrolling down here. I do have these sorted by price. The lowest one here sold for $35, but most of these are selling for $100+. So if you come across that brand, that's definitely one to pick. Now, this is a pair of Dr. Scholl's sandals, and they have a wooden sole. Now, these happen to be in very good condition. You saw there with that tag picture. Most of these are now worn off from being walked in, but this one is actually in pretty good condition. You can see a little bit that it's starting to peel there, but overall, these are in really nice condition, and those sold for $108. Now, this is Puma. You're going to see a few different pairs of shoes from the brand Puma. So there's the tag there. And that's what these look like. Definitely have that vibe from Y2K. Those sold for $100. This is a pair of Skechers. There's the label there on the outside. And these are just a pair of boots with a huge platform sole on those. Those sold for $145. Now, this is from American Eagle. This is not American Eagle Outfitters like the store that is in the mall. This was actually a brand that was sold at Payless Shoe Source that was named American Eagle. I believe actually on the tag later they actually added not part of American Eagle Outfitters. It was just so closely named, and that's probably what they were really going after, was to have that association. So if you come across just American Eagle, not American Eagle Outfitters, you'll know what that is. This is just a pair of lace-up Oxfords, but those sold for $175. And again, Payless Shoe Source, it was really about affordable shoes. So most of their shoes sold for like $20, and they'd put on sale for like $3, $5, and $7. So I remember going in there and looking, okay, what do they have for $3 today? This is another pair of Pumas, definitely a more unique pair, and those sold for $100. This is a pair of boots from a brand that is called Report. So you can make out there on the bottom, it's kind of an R, and there's what those look like. You can see up at the top of this, it says Report there. These have a little bit of wear to them, but those sold for $150. This is another pair of Puma, and these sold for $125. This is a pair of boots from a brand called Rock, or ROC. I'm not too familiar with this one, but you can see it's an over-the-knee boot lace up, and anything lace up was really big in that Y2K era. So if you happen to come across any shoes that have any sort of lace up details, like what you just saw, or up the side, that can be a really good indication that it's from right around that turn of the millennium. So these sold for $159. This is from Diesel. And let me go ahead there on the sole. You can make out where it says Diesel. And these are a pair of sneakers. There it says Diesel there on the bottom. Those sold for $199. This is a brand called Soda. This is really big around Y2K. Again, this is more an affordable brand, and this is what these shoes look like. So anytime you see that huge platform, that huge wedge, that again is really indicative of Y2K style from being around that era. And this pair of shoes sold for $130. Now, this is a pair of Birkenstocks. These are almost in new condition, definitely a unique pair, and those sold for $155. Another pair of Puma here. I had to show these because these are just so cool. But they actually lace up from the shoe, lace up the leg, and those sold for $150. Now, this is a pair of Doc Martens, and it has a wingtip on it, which is a little bit more unusual for Doc Martens. There's what those look like. They also have a flower stamped into the side of those. There's a flower here on the inside. You can see the Doc Martens symbol right there at the back of the shoe. Then those sold for $200. Now, I do have a brand new keyword poster specifically for shoes, and this is going to have all of the keywords like wingtip, brogue, all of the different types of shoes, as well as any features related to shoes so that you can correctly describe your items and not make any embarrassing mistakes. This is super handy to have printed and at your listing station so that you can type up titles and descriptions in a matter of seconds. I'm going to link to it over here. Now, this is a really interesting pair of boots. It reminds me I'd put my hair over my face and chase my little background as Cousin It. And I've seen a few of these shoes selling. Like you cannot even see what this is. The hair is so long on these. And it's actually unbranded, this pair. They sold for $120. This is a pair of Nike Shocks. Now, I just wanted to point this out because this one does have a website on it, so it can give some sort of indication as to how old an item is. Obviously, you see a website, it's not going to be from the 80s, probably early 90s. So this kind of really tells me it's probably more early 2000s era. And there's what those look like. Those sold for $125. This is another pair from American Eagle, not American Eagle Outfitter, pair of boots here. These sold for $110. This is a pair of Fry. And if you see these are selling for a lot of money. I saw several of these selling. It is made in Mexico. And then here's the boots on the outside. So I'm going to zoom in on that stamp there in the leather. That is the Fry symbol. And these are what are called campus boots. And these pairs sold for $470, but I saw lots that have been selling recently for, $300-400 mark. This is from the brand LEI. This is a pair of wedge Oxfords, and those sold for $144. Another of what I would consider a mall quality brand. Here's another one from the brand Soda, another Oxford wedge platform there. That one went for $135. This is another one from that Payless Shoe Source brand, Lower East Side. Definitely a mall brand. And here's what those boots look like. They actually do even have a little bit of peeling there on them. And those went for $148. This is from a brand that is called Destroy. You can just make it out there at the top of the boot. And they're just black boots, chunky wedge platform. Those went for $480. And if you come across other items from the brand Destroy, they're all selling for quite a bit of money. So you're seeing like almost $500 some of these are selling for. Here we're down to $200, $260, $300. So it can be some pretty good money if you come across this brand. And there is the marking on the bottom to be able to identify those. This is another one from Doc Martin, and you can see up here it says made in England. These are a pair of slip-ons, and this is another unique design. So we looked at one that had a cutout of a heart. This one actually has a cutout of a star. It also has some star metal details on there. Now there was a best offer accepted on this one, which we'll talk about real quick for a second. Everything that I'm showing you was sold for full price, even if it says that or best offer. You can notice here that it says best offer accepted. So that's how you know that there was an accepted offer as well as that strikeout through the price. By the way, these are all sold items. I get somebody commenting in every single video that I'm not showing sold items. You can see right here in the picture that this says sold items. Now I went ahead and tried to look this up via eBay's research tool, and the normal way that I do it, for some reason, it's not coming up. I could probably get it to come up if I spend a little more time doing this. But there's a similar pair here. That one sold for $220 on auction. Got another pair here, and then that went for $125. So that would make me think that this seller got probably pretty close to their asking price of $175. This is a pair of snow boots from the brand DC, and I did see a few of these selling. That pair went for $349. Now, if you're looking for more vintage items, I do have a complete guide to selling vintage clothes, including shoes. And this guide covers 150 different brands and items to be on the lookout for. I will leave the link over here for you. Now, this is a pair of boots from that brand Lower East Side. There's not a great picture of it. It can be kind of hard sometimes to take pictures inside of boots. But this one sold for $100. This is from a brand that's called D2. So you can see the stamp there into the leather. Here's the pair of boots. You can see there's a little bit of wear to these, wear at the toe, wear at the sides, and those sold for $135. So if you do come across that brand, that can be a really good brand to pick up. Now, this is another patchwork pair of Steve Madden boots with that huge platform. Those sold for $140. This is from Guess. There's the tag there on the inside, just a pair of black boots. Those sold for $149. This is from a brand that is called the Art Company. So you can see there on the tongue of this boot, it says art, and there on the inside, the Art Company. And here's what these look like. They do have a stamp on the outside that has a hot air balloon, and there in the center is spelled out art. And then those boots sold for $150. Here's some other items from that same brand and what they're selling for. So that was the most. I do have these sorted high to low. I've got a pair for 75, 56, 60. So depending on how much you could pick these up for, it is a pretty good brand. Most of them, aren't selling for over 100, but still, a pretty decent amount for used shoes. Here's another one from Steve Madden. This is from the line Steven, and this is a pair of pumps. These are really interesting because they're pointy and they have a heart detail there. They got a little bit of a wingtip there to them as well. And those sold for $165. Now, this is a pair of Converse, and these are knee-high boots. There's all those laces up the front. That's what those look like. And then that sold for $189. This is from the brand No Boundaries, aka Walmart. And I love showing these types of brands from Walmart and Target because it shows that really anybody can have success with reselling. You don't have to be tied down to just having access to luxury brands. You just need to know what to look for. So these do have some lace up details here at the back. Again, that is a big thing from Y2K, a big feature that you will see. This one sold for $150. By the way, you'll see that feature on jeans, on tops, on other items, not just shoes. This is from a brand that is called Miss 60. Then this is another brand that was really big around Y2K. However, shoes are much less rare than jeans and tops. And this is what these boots look like. And those sold for $120. This is another pair of boots from American Eagle, not American Eagle Outfitters, from Payless Shoe Source. Those sold for $140. Now, this is an interesting brand. It's called Naked Wolf. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on their logo here while we talk about them. But this is actually not a Y2K era brand. It's actually a newer brand from a very smart company that started in 2017, but they saw that Y2K types of items were going to be resurging. And so they started before the trend really got going, really started taking off. And so that is the name there across the top of the shoe. They really styled their items from the Y2K era look. And so you'll see with a lot of their items, they do have that huge platform, but they are a newer item. So this is not a vintage item. I want to be clear on that. It does just have a vintage look to that. This one sold for $149. Now, here's some of the items. I just had to show these real quick because you can see how they have that kind of goth look. They have that platform. They have, huge wedges to their shoes. Here's another platform sneaker there, and some really good prices with these. We're talking 150. Again, I have these sorted, so the top prices are up here, $230, $245. So be on the lookout for this brand. Definitely a bolo. This is a brand that's called 9 & Co. Sometimes you'll see this spelled out instead of that number 9 there. And pair of boots, those went for $165. And I want to take a second to invite you to the Empowered Reseller membership program. This is where I'm personally able to offer help. I'm able to answer questions, even be able to do things like store reviews, account reviews, listing reviews. I host live trainings every month, and you get access to a huge course vault as well as our exclusive VIP community. And I can't wait to welcome you into our community soon. This is another pair of boots from the brand Steve Madden. There are a lot of these selling from this brand. This one went for $225. This is a unique pair of Adidas. That's what those look like. Those sold for $145. This is another pair of Doc Martens here for you. Definitely a more unique design. Those sold for $200. This is a brand that I am not familiar with. There's the marking there on the bottom. The seller actually listed it as unbranded, but it really is kind of a Doc Marten look-alike sandal. It has that flower cutout on it. And then those sold for $150. This is another pair of boots from Guess. We saw a similar one like this earlier. Again, this style, it doesn't really matter necessarily the brand. brand. These are selling for so much money. This went for $125. This is a pair of boots from Candy platform, and those went for $195 with 36 bids on them. Everything we've looked at so far, I believe, has been fixed price, but this was an auction listing. So I always try to point out those bids if it did sell on auction. So almost $200 with 36 bids. This is a pair of boots from Tommy Hilfiger. They are red, and those sold for $125. This is from a brand that is called Bongo. So you can see the marking there on the bottom, and here is the tag on the side, the lug sole there. Those sold for $179. This is an interesting pair of boots from Pink Victoria's Secret. There's what those look like, and those went for $100. Got another pair of Skechers boots. You've seen quite a few of items from Skechers, and this one sold for almost $45. This is another one from that brand Soda. There's what these look like. That one went for almost $100. And this is a brand that is called Muro. So there's a sun here and then Muro there on the bottom. And these are definitely a interesting, unique pair, and it does have flames on it. So I'm surprised with as much research I've done with vintage items that I haven't seen more items with flames, because flames were another kind of big thing from the Y2K era, as were skeletons, dragons. And so here's what these look like. The flame, you can see the scuffing. You see they definitely have a lot of wear to these, and these sold for $129. Now, one of the important things is being able to correctly describe your items. So you'll notice with this flame pair of shoes, they're using some keywords in here of goth as well as platform chunky creeper. And I do cover aesthetic style, style-based keywords on my keyword poster for styles. So I'm going to leave that over here because that's an important piece of getting your listings found and sold and getting them in front of the right buyers. And that makes it super simple to have at your listing station, be able to type up your listings really quick. This is another pair of Doc Martens. There's been a lot of these, but so many different styles that were really popular Y2K, and they're trending again. So that went for $165. This is from Nike, this huge platform. So I had to show these because definitely unique. This one went for $100. This is from I believe it's a Romanian brand, and this is called Thank with an exclamation mark. This is a pair of boots, and those sold for $150. I did go and pull up some other items from this brand. Ignore this one, but these are all from that same brand. Got a couple down here from that same brand. So they're selling for a pretty decent amount of money. This is a brand that's called New York LA, or Nyla, or NYLA. I'm not exactly sure how you say this one. There's that dragon theme that I mentioned that was really popular, Y2K. These are just platform shoes. They're kind of a satin finish to them with a dragon design. Those went for $230. Now, I did go and look up other items from this brand, and they're not all selling for that much. So we're at 80, 46. Again, these are sorted high to low. Got another dragon one here that went for $50. But it's a little bit more of a rare find. Here's what that looks like, the New York LA. I got a little bit better picture there for you. This is from Candies. You're going to notice that wooden sole. So that was another thing that was really common from Y2K era. Those went for $109. This is another one from Steve Madden. So you've seen quite a few of these now. Those sold for $295. This is from a brand that's called City Snappers. It's a little bit lesser known brand. There's the label, but these really sold for the style of these. So you can see that they're velvet, and you can see the profile here. Those sold for $100. And again, you're seeing some really good keywords that they used. In addition to Y2K and 90s, they also used punk, goth, riot, girl, and rave. This is a pair of Adidas, and let's see if I can get a little bit, maybe some better pictures of these for you, maybe some more close-ups. And there's Missy Elliott there on the front of those. Those sold for $280. And so much fashion has been influenced by pop culture. I do have a keyword guide that goes into pop culture. I'm not into pop culture and celebrities myself, except when it comes to reselling and knowing what it is that people are shopping and buying. So in that pop culture guide, I go into TV shows, movies, as well as celebrities and the things to be on the lookout for. So I'm going to link to that over here. This is a pair of boots from a brand that's called Bed Stew, and this is a really solid brand. Most of these are not selling for this much money, but this one sold for quite a bit just because of the style of it. It does have quite a bit of stuffing and wear, as you're seeing. Those sold for $268, again, because of the look, keywords Y2K, as well as moto and goth. This is a kind of no-name brand, and I wanted to share the bottoms of those because those are very well worn. Even inside, they are very well worn, but it's a more unique style. So you can see that huge wedge, as well as the height of that heel there, definitely from that Y2K era. Some stud detailing around the sides of them too, and those sold for $99. This is from Diesel. This is a pair of boots, so you can see the shoe down there and then kind of a boot top to that. Those sold for $245. This is another pair of mud. We saw one of these at the beginning of the video that sold for like $121, if I remember right. This pair went for $80. So it does pay to know, how much to price your items. Always research and look up comparable sales. Price high, when in doubt. This is from LEI, so there's the inside there for you. Lug sole, and those sold for $90. Another pair of boots here, and this is from American Eagle Outfitters, from the mall store brand that has clothes, not American Eagle Payless Shoe Source that we've seen in a couple of the other items. So this is from American Eagle Outfitters. That sold for $73. Now, if you're brand new to reselling, I do want to mention I have an entire starter kit that has everything you need to get started and start making your first sales. And when you go with the starter kit plus, it actually comes with all of the support that's found inside of the membership, access to all of the live trainings, access to me to be able to answer your questions and get that personal help and support that you need. Now, this is from Faded Glory, aka from Walmart. This is a Doc Martin lookalike, and that has a flower cut out there on the side. Those sold for $79. So again, you don't have to be tied down just to luxury brands, which can be hard to find for a lot of resellers, myself included. This is another line from Skechers, and it's called Something Else. From Skechers, unfortunately, it's upside down there, but you can kind of make that out. This is a pair of patchwork boots, and those went for $85, but I did see lots of these Skechers Something Else shoes selling. Thanks so much for hanging out with me in today's video. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up as well as consider subscribing to the channel. Now, if you're looking for even more vintage shoes to be on the lookout for and not just those Y2K era items, then I do have a video that I'm going to link to up here. And if you haven't yet signed up for that free $100,000 challenge, I want to encourage you to do that now. $100,000, it might sound crazy, but it's closer than you think when you know how to get there. And I cover it all inside of the challenge. Again, the link to sign up for that free challenge is in the description below this video. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I'll catch you in the next video soon.